Listen to me. I've got you. I won't let go.
ML Soul of Detroit
was called
the podcast
of dreams. And it was. It really was.
You ass interrogative question around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Or no headphones. Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric. Last week, we teased you that we were working on getting a big newsmaker here for this week's show, our special 4th of July edition, and we have delivered. We are bringing you one of the biggest newsmakers in Detroit over the last several years, and it's appropriate that he's here on the 4th of July because he is fighting for his freedom. I will tell you who he is after we welcome co-host, co-pilot, not God, but Mark Fellhauer, who sometimes has a little bit of a God complex, but that's just kind of a Wolverine thing.
Oh, our guest is on fire today, too. Once again, the pre-show, like last week, was on fire.
You know, we got to get that Patreon so that people can get this exclusive content. We still are working on getting the Venmo fixed.
What? It doesn't work?
2 people informed me that the Venmo is not working. So
all right, I'm on it.
So we're going to go back to the drawing board on that one. But we are going to make it as easy as possible for you to give us your money. That's one of our missions. It's one of the things we truly believe in is accepting lavish donations from the people who appreciate this high quality and otherwise free content. But it's free to you. It does cost some money to our sponsors, our presenting sponsor, David Hall and Hall Financial, our premier sponsor, Luke Nowacki of Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, and a couple of great East Side institutions that support this show, as well as keep me out of trouble, or maybe I kind of get in trouble if let's put it this way. Sometimes I leave those places and Teresa isn't so happy to see me when I get home. That would be the Caju Cafe and Irish Coffee Bar and Grill. We'll be telling you more about all those great establishments a little bit later on the show. But first, we want to welcome Robert Carmack. You know him. I'm tempted to say that he's a local businessman, but he's actually a showman. He's been putting on some free movies outside City Hall and presenting some messages behind airplanes for the last few years to bring attention to his dispute with the city of Detroit and specifically Mayor Mike Duggan. Bob has had so many lawsuits, you'd think that he was a practicing attorney, and he is kind of practicing. We'll get into that in a second, too. But the reason why we've got Bob here now is because he has been charged with trying to cheat the city out of some property. I will tell you, it is a very bizarre transaction, maybe one of the weirdest land deals I've ever seen. But a judge who reviewed the case said, boy, I don't know if this meets the test of a crime, passed it on to another judge. That judge sat on it forever, partly because of the pandemic. Then another judge, an outstanding judge, looked at the case and said, this is bullshit, I'm kicking it. And just recently, Bob found out that the charges have been reinstated. So he joins us now to talk about what is going on. Mr. Carmack, how are you today?
Good. How you doing there, Mel?
It's good to be with you. We always have an interesting conversation. And I must say, you're a man who never has a dull moment, even though that may seem like a welcome change every once in a while.
Shit, it's just like a movie, baby.
It is. So tell us what's going on over at Wayne County Circuit Court. This thing was dragging on forever, looked like it was done, and whammo, it's back.
Yeah, I went to court not this last Friday, but the Friday before. I went in front of Judge Bradley Cobb, who used to work for Kim Worthy. And he took a look at the case. It had a reconsideration, and he felt that the case should never been dismissed, that I should keep the charges and keep the case going. So he agreed with the prosecutor to keep this case going.
So this case has been around so long, I reported on it extensively when I was at Fox 2. And if you've been keeping track of current events, I've been gone for almost 3.5 years from Fox 2. In fact, I've been hired by the Free Press twice since I left Fox 2. So it's been a while. But Bob, the city of Detroit, let me go way back because this is truly an extraordinary thing. Bob wanted to develop some waterfront land in Southwest Detroit into a resort. And so he was talking to the Kilpatrick administration. So again, this tells you how far back this goes. And they said, well, we want you to spend some money to try and figure out if this is feasible, if it's viable. So Bob dug into his own pocket and spent some money and had some studies done. And then the Kilpatrick administration called him over and said, if this is going to move forward, you're going to have to give us some cash. And not the city of Detroit, but us some cash. Bob said no. The plan didn't go forward. But later on, he was offered a deed to some property nearby, not waterfront land, not prime real estate like he was looking for, but a piece of land that was probably very worthless, and Bob got the deed. And Bob said, what's this? This must be to make up for the money I spent to study whether or not the plan I wanted to do would go forward. He alerted the city and said, hey, you sent me this deed. I'm going to take possession of this property. The city didn't say anything. So then Bob goes to city council and says, hey, I got this deed. I'm going to take possession of this property unless you tell me not to. And they said, let me see that deed. What's going on with this? They don't tell him not to. And this is all on tape. You can see this. You can watch these proceedings for yourself. Somewhere along the line, Gabe Leland gets involved and says, hey, I can help you with some of your other property disputes. Those discussions helped get Bob involved in the federal case that basically got Gabe Leland kicked off of the council because he was trying to run some hustles too. But this is another case of Bob going to city council and saying, hey, I want to do this. Is this cool? Stop me if I'm about to do something wrong. Nobody said anything. So eventually he sells the land. Sells the land for about $1 million to a kind of a squirrely looking dude from Chicago, but that's a whole nother story.
It's like everything in the story.
Yeah.
There's a whole nother story to every facet of it.
And he sells it to a business. Was it called Moby Dick Ventures, Bob?
Moby Dick Ventures.
And what was the name of the guy you sold it to?
His name was Conky.
Yeah. So anyways, Funky Conky buys Moby Dick Ventures land there. At some point, Duggan becomes mayor, and somebody brings to his attention, hey, Carmack sold some land that's ours. And they start investigating, and then they decide, you know what, we're not going to sue Bob Carmack over this transaction. We're going to charge him with a crime. So they go to the Wayne County prosecutor. Wayne County prosecutor says, nope, I can't do it. I got a conflict of interest here because Bob is fighting with the county treasurer. The county treasurer writes our paychecks, doesn't really write them, just signs them. So I got a conflict. So then it goes to the state prosecutors association so they can assign it to another prosecutor. The prosecutor in Flint takes it. And so now we got this prosecutor driving from Genesee County almost every day to take this case through the preliminary examination stage, which really just means where a judge says whether this is bullshit or whether there's enough of a question here for a jury to decide whether someone's guilty. This was a very long and protracted process. At the end of it, the judge said, you know what? This looks weird, but it doesn't really make a clear case that someone's committed a crime. So I don't think you can make the case, city, but I'm going to forward it to the circuit court where these trials are held and let them make sense of it. It lingers there for years, like this story, which is wrapping up shortly, so thank you for your patience. And then a new judge takes over because the judge who had it gets elevated to another position, a higher position, and this judge looks at it, and in real short order, Michael Callahan is a judge. He's the same guy who heard the Kwame Kilpatrick whistleblower case that led to Kwame Kilpatrick's downfall, the case in which the text messages emerged. Callahan, who's been around, is a former prosecutor and a former priest. A lot of weird people in this, but we're going to leave that aside for a moment. Looks at the case and says, this is bullshit. Get rid of it. And by the way, what's on your feet, Mr. Carmack? And Bob says, I'm wearing some tethers because they're trying to jack me up on a DUI case. He says, cut those off, set this man free. And Bob, not a dancing man as far as I know, goes dancing out of court feeling light as a feather. and everything's copacetic.
That was the last we saw of you. Yeah.
Yes.
In front of the cameras in October.
Yep, in front of the Spirit of Detroit, with a lot of people who think Bob's getting railroaded. Mike Duggan was not there. He doesn't really like it when Bob comes to City Hall, especially when he's dragging a truck with a video screen. And then Bob goes to court, and they said no. The prosecutor said no. We want you to reconsider whether this should be kicked. Callahan's off the case because he was just filling in for a vacancy. Now there's a permanent judge in there, and he says, as Bob just told us, "You're going to trial, son." And Bob, you do not have a lawyer, so what the hell are you going to do, my friend?
Hey, I'm going to court, brother. I'm going to court. He was going to put those tethers back on me also. And I didn't. He asked the prosecutor 3 times, "Do you want those tethers back on me?" I said, "Listen, I got stage 4 cancer, brother. This is what these tethers cost." The judge was going to put those tethers back on me.
So did they put him back on?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Well, I mean, you had one on. How long did you have one on before?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, and you didn't take it off. You didn't do anything, so why bother putting it back on you?
Shit, I've been on bond for 5 years. I ain't done nothing in 5 years. I shouldn't even have a bond.
Are you surprised by this? Are you surprised that it's back?
No, it's all political. Everything is. See, I went to council continuously, and the situation is that I was trying to get Duggan taken out of City Hall. And I was doing that because he brought false charges on me, malicious prosecution, abuse of power, and so forth. If he brought these charges on me because I caught him cheating on his wife and so forth, he can be removed from council. I can't get Kim Worthy. I couldn't get Dana Nessel. I couldn't get anybody to bring charges on him. So he knew that, so he got to the judge, right, who this guy worked for Kim Worthy. So this guy, Cobb, works for Kim Worthy, who started this process, right, the investigation, with no documents in it, with no witnesses and so forth. Of course he's going to protect her. I don't care. You know, I'm going to bring in Kwame Kirkpatrick because he's the one that started this. I'm going to bring in Derek Miller. I'm going to bring in Mike Duggan. I'm going to bring his wife. I'm going to bring his ex-wife. I'm going to bring his girlfriend, his dog, whoever I can bring in here.
Damn, you're going after a man's dog. Well, let's try and keep this record.
He said the dogs were outside at the house that he lived in, remember?
I don't remember that, but there's been so many twists and turns. I'm still trying to keep up with Conky and Moby Dick, but we need to keep the record straight here because there's a lot going on, and Bob is very wrapped up in this and very passionate about this. But what Bob is basically saying is that he thinks Mayor Duggan got the cops to bring charges against him and to get the prosecutor to bring charges against them. The mayor denies this. We don't have any evidence of that. But the fact of the matter is Bob is in a dispute with the city of Detroit. The mayor has said that Bob tried to take land that wasn't his, and we have to make sure that the city doesn't let people rob us blind, which is a pretty reasonable position for a chief executive. However, it's extraordinary that a case like this has been brought. This is a case that I think the judge may have said this too, probably should be a civil matter, which means a lawsuit where somebody tries to sue Bob and say, Bob, this transaction didn't pass muster, so you got to give us the $1 million that you got for the land sale. Now, I'm pretty sure Bob has spent that $1 million on lawyers trying to stay out of jail because this guy's had more lawyers than a friggin' bar association picnic, but he's defending himself. And, you know, as I tell you, Bob, when we have these conversations, I see a lot of people go to court without a lawyer, and generally it does not go well. So how are you gonna keep yourself out of stir defending yourself?
Well,
I mean, you have, as you've said, I'm just a guy from Michigan Avenue, you know, trying to make a living. You do not have a law degree.
No, I'm going to get a co-counsel to help me. I know the evidence. I know the documentation. They have no witnesses. They have no documentation. How can you get this far into the judicial system with no witnesses that have facts and no documentation? I should just walk up to the judge, and I already filed motions that the case should be dismissed because of no witnesses and documentation. In 2007, nobody was there that's here now. Mayor Duggan, I tried to depose him. He says he knows nothing about it. Chuck Ramey, I tried to depose him. He knows nothing about it. Well, if nobody knows nothing about it, how would I get charged?
a couple other things we should probably note. When Kim Worthy passed on this case, for folks who don't know what the dynamics are like in Wayne County and Detroit, Kim Worthy does not like Mike Duggan. And I don't see Kim Worthy doing Mike Duggan a favor. However, Bob thinks that the prosecutor in Genesee County might be doing Duggan a favor. I don't have any evidence to support that. But this case is going forward, and it's dragging on, and it is... when I first heard about this case, I thought, well, Bob, you took some land and you sold it, and it's kind of a weird transaction. I think you're in trouble. And then I consulted with Peter Henning, the late, great Peter Henning, who's a law professor at Wayne State University and a former federal prosecutor. A federal prosecutor who's so smart that current prosecutors rely on his opinion and his research to decide what they're going to do. And he told me, if there's no intent, it's going to be a tough case. And I said, well, what's intent? Well, intent is you get the land, you're like, I'm going to rip these mother scratchers off. And I said, well, Bob went to city council and said, I got this deed. I'm going to record it, which means basically take possession of the property unless you tell me not to. And he did it on multiple occasions. He said, they're going to have a tough time proving intent when the guy says, basically, stop me before I kill.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, all legal stuff aside, when you look at it and you say, here's a guy who said, I have this deed, I'm going to sell it, I have this deed, I'm going to sell it, and nobody stops you, and then you sell it, and then they're like, hey, wait a sec, and then all charges get dismissed in October of last year, and then they come up again. I totally understand why it feels very personal for another reason, be it following the mayor around or whatever. I mean, just... legal stuff aside, that's what it feels like.
Well, let me say this. A deed is a receipt. That's all it is. I know, I learned this for 5 years. A deed is receipt. It says paid in full. What people don't understand is that I gave the city a bunch of money in 2004 to 2006. And I did environmental drawings and all that. I gave them this information. I spent a lot of money. They gave me this deed to this property to make me whole for the money I spent. You cannot have people spend money, leave deposits on property. It's like buying a house. You put 10 grand on a house, a person can't sell it. The problem is during Mike Duggan, when he came in, he tried to squeeze me also. He wanted me to pay $10,000, $20,000 a month to this guy, Mike Garvalia, or he wanted me to partner with his family member. And I wouldn't do neither. So that's how I got to the point I am here today.
Yeah, and there's some other, there's so many crazy twists and turns here. The other thing I should mention is Bob was paying the property taxes on this land.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like he just said, well, shit, somebody gave me a deed. If nobody knows, I'm going to cash in. I mean, he was acting in every sense like the owner. And, listen, the city's property management system was a disaster for decades. No one could get their hands around it. And now they finally do seem to have their shit together when it comes to figuring out what the city owns. And what the city claims is that's when they found out about this transaction, and they're just trying to hold people's feet to the fire. But I really have never gotten a good answer to the question, then why not just sue Bob? Mm-hmm. The burden of proof is lower than criminal case. I mean, OJ was not convicted of murder, but he did lose a lawsuit against where the Goldman family basically convinced a jury that he had killed Nicole, and so they got all his swag. It does seem that the criminal court is a strange venue for this, particularly when the district court judge said, "Hey, city, I got to tell you, I think you're going to have a tough time making this case." Has anybody offered you a plea deal, Bob? Has any prosecutor come to you and said, "You know what, Bob, if you can just give us $500,000 or just admit you did something wrong, you can plead down to something like, filing a false document or some misdemeanor charge," because, prosecutors gave Gabe Leland a pretty sweet deal when they knew he was taking bribes. Prosecutors are known to let cases basically go for a minor charge just to resolve them and move on to other stuff.
No, they haven't offered me a deal at all. I've been in this case for 5 years. Everybody gets a deal offered to them. I'm in the civil case, and the situation is in the civil case that just started up 6 months ago. And the situation is that right now, they're suing B&C Land Company, they're suing me personally, and they're suing Moby Dick. Well, the situation is they're trying to quiet the title and get the property. Well, they don't even want money. Like they said, they out of $1 million. People don't understand. It just wasn't Melville that was sold. There was 8 pieces of property. Melville wasn't worth $10. Matter of fact, it has $2 million environmental cleanup on it. So you got to subtract that. The other pieces of property were clean property that got sold all in the package deal. And the situation is that this civil case is B&C is no longer a live LLC. That was bought by Moby Dick. Moby Dick bought all the assets of B&C. They took the assets out of B&C and put them in Moby Dick. So B&C is owned by Moby Dick. The city of Detroit, the quiet title, they have to send a notice out to anybody that owned that property and so forth. Robert Carmack personally did not own any of that property. My name ain't at the register of deeds owning that property and the deed to my name. So their civil suit is frivolous. They just did that to ruin my name. They called me a thief in it, and they did that after I filed a civil suit against Mayor Duggan personally and the city of Detroit.
So there are multiple cases out there. There's you're involved in some civil litigation, which is basically a lawsuit. And I think that's where, now that we're talking about, that's where the Moby Dick name came up. I think the property is right off of Melville, and I think some clever conky thought that, oh, Herman Melville wrote Moby Dick, so we'll call it Moby Dick Ventures or whatever. But they haven't done anything with the land either. But the thing, Bob, that it continues to amaze me is you've got a lawsuit going, you've got a criminal case. With the lawsuit, maybe they win and a judge says we're going to award you $0, or they order B&C to pay $1 million. Well, like you said, B&C doesn't exist anymore, so good luck getting $1 million out of something that doesn't exist anymore. But this criminal case, this is your ass. This isn't like we're going to take your house. This is like, no, we're going to put you in a house, and it's going to have bars on the windows. And if you want to see your kids, it's only going to be during visiting hours, and you're not going to be able to hug them. And I know how much you love your kids. So, you are folks watching us on YouTube and on Facebook will see that Bob is a pretty calm dude. I would be shitting bricks right now if I was facing criminal charges and didn't have a lawyer. And co-counsel, you're not the greatest guy in the world when it comes to listening to your lawyers. You are pretty good at telling them to beat it. How many? What are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm looking at 14 years, baby. 14 years in prison, for doing nothing. I've done nothing wrong. I believe in God. God's got my back. That's all I can tell you. I haven't done one thing wrong. I ain't never going to do anything wrong. My kids come first. That's why I would never pay off Kwame Kirkpatrick, Derek Miller, Mike Duggan, or partner with his family member. Because my children are more important than money or power.
Couple quick questions. Duggan said he was going to refer your stalking or harassment to the state police. Did the state police ever come to you and say, we have an investigation? Did you ever find out of any investigation by the state police?
No, there was no. They investigated, but they found out that there wasn't nothing and so forth. I wasn't stalking him. Matter of fact, they sent me a phone number. This guy named, he owns Metrotech. He sent me Duggan's phone number 2 days after his press conference, right? And I don't know if it's Duggan's phone number. We should call it right now and see if it is. But he sent it to me, and I said, why'd you send me this phone number, right? And I looked at it, and it said Mayor Duggan, and it had a phone number. And I said, it was Louis Hassan. Louis Hassan's from Metrotech. ML knows who Louis is.
I would not say that we spend much time breaking pita bread, but
No Nemos?
No, Louis is a name that comes. So Metrotech, you may think it's a cell phone company by the name. It's a tow company, and Louis. Let's just say Louis has caught the eye of many people who are concerned about transactions in City Hall that may or may not be of illegal variety. I think that's the nicest way to say it.
Right. And the situation is I never stole no property. I never did anything wrong. Only thing I did was catch Mayor cheating on his wife. I put a billboard up and the dummy toed on itself. What can I do?
So, okay, $1 million deal that they're trying to go after you criminally for.
Yeah.
What do you feel when you see them lauding all these development deals and the tax breaks for, say, Gilbert or Ross for multi-million dollars, and then you're like, well, why are you coming after me for a $1 million deal? What do you personally feel about that?
Well, that's the situation. I go to city council continuously, and tell them exactly they need to investigate this situation. They need to investigate the mayor, right? They need to do this. They did an investigation, Whitaker did, and they found out that if he brought these charges on me falsely, that he should be removed from mayor. I didn't get $1 million off this property. My end up getting was $500,000. Okay, there's $255,000 paid in taxes. Okay, if this is your property and it wasn't my property, give my money back. I went to Watovich. I went to all of them, right? I said, give my money back. You did this to me on the Michigan Avenue property where you took back, right, and gave me my tax money. Give me the tax money. They won't give it back. Government enriches herself on taxes. The taxes are paid. It's all a legit deal.
I just can't believe you have not fear, but you're very confident going up against this massive machine of, judges and prosecutors and the city. And yet it feels to me like you're like a not backroom deal, but like a personal deal. Like, hey, this is what I did. If you don't like it, give me your money back. But you have full confidence in fighting these charges that the judge will dismiss them again. Is that?
I don't believe that I can win with the judges, and I don't really believe that I can win with a jury. I believe these guys are so crooked, they'll pay a jury off.
So what do you think's going to happen then?
I may go to jail, but there ain't nothing I can do. But I'm doing right, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And the situation, if they pay off juries, let them pay off juries. If they promote more judges, let them promote more judges. This is the third judge that's got promoted by Gretchen Whitmore. The first one was Cynthia Miller in my exam. She got promoted to circuit court. The second judge is Noah Hood. He had my case for 3 years. He got my case at the beginning. He got promoted to appeals court in 3 years when there's thousands of judges waiting to be promoted. And the next judge I get is this Cobb who, worked for Kim Worthy, who started all this. Kim Worthy did not look at this investigative package till after I filed that lawsuit. And the only reason why she did it is because Mike Duggan supported Dana Nesso, who is her best friend, about 3 months after I filed that lawsuit. They cut a deal. People don't know that.
So we have to be clear. There's no evidence of this. This is what Bob believes.
It feels a little conspiratorial.
Yeah, Kim Worthy, again, I don't see her doing any favors for Mike Duggan. Maybe what she should have done was say, I'm going to look at this case and say, we're not bringing charges because there ain't much to work with here. But it is a strange situation. I've never seen a case like this. Bob's a different kind of cat, as you may have been able to gather. I mean, he hired detectives to follow Mayor Duggan around. He's got a little bit of the fractured syntax. His record keeping is what I would call unorthodox. And I say that as someone who's had,
he's got papers.
Hey, got papers, man.
His filing cabinet bears a striking resemblance to a dashboard. But somehow he is pulling this case together. And
can you please get a lawyer?
Yeah, I mean,
please.
No, we're fighting it all the way to City Hall, baby. I'm going to see the mayor tonight. He's got a town hall meeting. You need to come out there, guys. You need to see the real deal.
This is the council. This is the charter mandated district meetings that the mayor and council are supposed to meet each city council district, I think, once a year. So yeah, when the mayor is out and about, Bob tends to show up, and Bob tends to attract a bit of a crowd because he has become. So I'm,
but good,
a folk hero.
A what?
A folk hero.
Yeah, Bob was a guy who actually was in those smoke-filled rooms. He knew a lot of these politicians, and he was kind of a backroom player. But this whole dispute with the city has turned him into something of folk hero because he has become the symbol for people who do not trust city council or the mayor or government as someone who's willing to stand up and speak out. And from being someone who I think was pretty cozy with Gabe Leland and folks like that, Bob is the one, when Gabe tried to hit him up for some dough, who went to the FBI and said, I'm being shaken down. And the FBI said, wear this wire. And he got Gabe basically running a hustle, and it ended Gabe Leland's career. So Bob has gone from being...
The feds are not happy with you there, though.
Well, yeah, they're mad that Bob's getting in all these other legal entanglements, so that they're not in love anymore. But Bob has gone from being a behind the scenes guy to being basically a folk hero. And when you see the mayor, he's got to know you're in the room. What's that dynamic like?
Well, he almost wants to shit his pants, if you want to know the truth. You know, shit. I've met him at a town hall meeting, and he goes, you need some therapy and stuff. I said, you need therapy. You brought these false charges on me. Tell me who's the witnesses, right, that told you I stole this deed. Well, you're crazy. You're crazy. You need to go get. I went to city council. He locked the doors where I couldn't get in there and be in the same room with him. I mean, this guy is petrified of me. Matter of fact, here, I'll tell you a story. I
don't think the mayor can lock the doors at city council. I mean, they got their own gig there on the 13th. Now, sometimes they lock them because they can't fit any more people in the room, or because they're reporters they don't like. But
maybe they don't like Bob.
Yeah, they didn't like me because there was...
Well, they used to like him when he was donating to their campaigns.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez. The situation is, it wasn't packed in that room. He locked that door. Let me tell you another story. The President of the United States came to Virgie Rollins' house. And this
Virgie Rollins is a big Democratic operative in Detroit.
Exactly.
In Michigan.
Yep. No, in the United States.
Yeah, but she's from Flint, right?
She's from Benton Harbor.
Benton Harbor, okay, but big time Democratic player.
Yeah, she lives in Palmer Park for the last many years and so forth.
So we're going to see Virgie after the show, but keep going.
So the situation is, she invites me and Vice President Biden's coming to her house, right? And the situation is that I didn't know who else was coming. Well, guess who he pulls up in the car with? Mayor Duggan. Mayor Duggan is in the car with Vice President Biden. They're in the car. Alexis Wiley walks through the door. So does Reggie Turner from Clark Hill. And they saw me. They called. You can see him pick the phone up and call Duggan and tell him that Carmack's in there. He goes to the Vice President and says, listen, I can't go in there. And Vice President goes, why? He says, that Bob Carmack's in there. He said, can you have your special protection team go in there and have him removed? And he had his own protection team. They came in there, asked Virgie Rollins to have me removed because the mayor would not come in there with the vice president because I was there. She comes out to me, asks me, will you leave because the vice president can't come in? The vice president said to Duggan, this is after what I heard, what's the matter with you? Why wouldn't you go in there? Who's this guy? So I end up leaving, right? And the vice president came in and Mayor Duggan come in. Virgie bawled his ass out for asking me to come in. She never even invited him to come.
And meanwhile, you and Hunter Biden were doing shots outside. Is that what happened?
Yeah, we're at the strip club enjoying ourselves and so forth, smoking some crack, snorting some heroin, you know, what the hell, the usuals.
Again, we don't have any substantiation.
I don't do none of that, sir.
But that story sounds...
I got children.
Clearly sarcasm.
That story sounds a little easier to prove. There's some fact patterns there that fit what's already been acknowledged by the players on the public record. But... So
ML, can I ask you a question, ML? How unusual is it for them to reinstate charges after they were tossed by a judge?
Well, first of all, it's unusual that you have 3 judges on a case. I mean, I'm not aware of that. Now, I don't cover criminal justice all the time, but I've never heard of anything like that. But it's strange to me if a judge said we're kicking this case. I mean, the prosecution, I guess, has a chance to say reconsider, and the judge looks at it and says, yeah. But again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not an expert in these sorts of things. But my thinking would be, if you're a new judge and you probably have a full docket and you've got a case that's a mess, that the judge that bound it over for trial said, boy, this doesn't look like a real good case to me. And another judge, an experienced judge, a respected judge who looked at it says, this is horse shit, you might just say, I think we're going to move on to other matters. So it seems extraordinary to me that the case is moving forward. But you know what? If it's a dog shit case, then Bob should win. And that's the way the system's supposed to work. Bob believes that everybody's out to get him. And, sometimes because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
I don't share Bob's feeling that juries are being paid off and that judges are being paid off. I mean, I need to see evidence of that for me to buy into that. But this is an extraordinary case, and what I'm more flabbergasted by is that Bob knows or believes he's going into a stacked deck, and he's going to go in there rolling solo with advising counsel. But Bob he's good at hiring lawyers. He's not great at listening to them or taking their advice.
Hey, listen, ML, this
Now,
case...
of course, he's still free, so something's going right?
Hey, let me tell you, this case should have been dismissed the first day. This is not a criminal case. This is not a civil case.
But it is a criminal. It's become a criminal case. You're in the criminal courts. What should have happened, what would have happened, what might have happened, this is where you are. And your reality is, whether you think this is on the level or not, you are staring down a prison sentence. I mean, there's what you think should be, and then there is what is, and you got to deal with what is. And,
See, we go by statutes in this state. We go by the Constitution of the United States. The deed, delivery of deed, follows the statute by the state of Michigan. It follows the Constitution of the state of Michigan. It's the law. A deed is a receipt. It's the law. I'm not guilty of anything. It says paid in full. It said I got a closing statement say paid in full. This is the way it is.
And there's no reason to ever think that isn't the actual deed, because that seemed to be their argument. So
No, they already
It's the
said
whole-
they
yeah.
already said on record it's their deed.
Yeah.
It's signed by everybody. It's not signed by me. It's notarized. It says paid in full. It's a done deal. For me to be in court is crazy.
I agree.
yeah. So this case is gonna move forward. Bob, when are you back in court?
I go back on July 17th.
July 17th. And what's going to happen? What's the event on the 17th?
I think it's a status conference. and
Okay.
so forth.
So they're going to set some dates to move forward for motions and evidentiary stuff and everything, which seems like it should have been done years ago. Okay.
We're starting over
You're starting. Oh, okay. Fresh start. Fantastic.
5 years later.
Okay. Well, you don't look a day over 5 years later. When you go into court, who's going to be with you other than God is your co-pilot and
That's my co-pilot, baby.
and a pair of balls are going to be hard to find a courtroom chair to fit. But
Hey, man, I just dragged them some bitches around everywhere with me.
I can hear them clanking over here. But I'm a little worried they may be knocking against some prison bars if you don't have some proper legal representation there. Because here's the other thing. You can say all this stuff, and let's assume that you're right. Let's just stipulate that everything you have to say is on the level. The other part of the United States justice system is that this country was founded by lawyers, and one of the things you get when a country is founded by lawyers, it becomes a guaranteed labor racket for lawyers. I mean, they spend 3 years learning how to speak in Latin just to do regular stuff. You don't speak Latin. Sometimes I'm wondering how much English you speak because, you just kind of shoot from the hip and the lip. There are things that you're going to want to say, and there's things that you're going to want to do. But if you don't know how to do them and you don't know how to follow those rules, the judge is going to say, I'm sorry, Mr. Carmack, you're not following proper procedure. Either follow proper procedure, we're going to have to move on. And I mean, there may be evidence that doesn't get introduced just because you don't know how they play this game.
See, the thing is, I got transcripts from the exam of what happened there. I also have the exhibits. So the situation is the case is already set up. The first exhibit is the statute, which is the law. And the motion that was written by Steve Haney, my attorney then, that's why Callahan kicked the case, because it is the statute. It fits it. It's been there since 1891, this deed law. It doesn't say copy. It doesn't say original. It says a deed. A deed is a receipt. It's just like a car title. This ain't, they can't take me to court, to trial, or anything. This judge who made this decision, he's going to make a fool out of himself. And I don't really care if he does or don't, because guess what? Public corruption is bad. And this is, I mean, if this is how they want to do it, I'm going to bring Kim Worthy in. I'm going to bring Dana Nessel in. I'm going to bring Mike Duggan. I'm going to bring in Carpatrick, the whole gang. We're going to have an enjoyable time. And guess what? When I said I had 30 witnesses, you saw the eyes in that judge. He almost shit his drawers, I guarantee you. He knows what I'm going to do.
Well, you know, issuing a subpoena, things like that, there's ways to do that. I don't know how to do that. Maybe you've learned that because you kind of have gotten a bit of a legal education from being in the courtroom for 5 years. But, you know, I
write my own motions now.
And they're causing people to have motions, so under those robes, I guess. But well, as you can see, folks, Bob is fearless. He believes he has the facts and the good Lord on his side. We will see. I'm concerned whenever I see somebody go to battle without the armor that they need to protect themselves, to defend themselves. Not saying I want one outcome or another. I just like to always see a fair fight. That's why I was going to say something about Republicans and Democrats and Michigan State and the Wolverines and all that stuff. I just want everything to be fair, and I want the right outcome to happen, whatever it may be. Bob, we'll be following this case. I hope that you get a fair shake, and I hope that your go-it-alone attitude isn't what ultimately is the biggest impediment to seeing some justice done here.
I'm going to have to check the courtroom in the back where the judge's chamber is. I think Hunter Biden's back there smoking crack with these cats. You know what I mean?
Man.
They got to be doing something back there.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling this thing is going to be a little different than your typical. I
will say this. I do think, Bob, you will win the perception battle.
Hey, I'm a winner, baby. Bring this shit on. I don't care. I'm not guilty of nothing. That's why they can't take me to court. They had me in court for 5 years. They tried to break me. They put 2 tethers on me for 2.5 years. They wouldn't let me take care of my mother. My mother fell and died during this case. Judges didn't have no heart for me to take care of an 80-year-old woman who her only person to take care of her was her son. That's a shameful. These judges and prosecutors should be charged just like us. They're no bigger and better. You give them a robe, you give them a hammer, right, and they think they could do anything. Mm-hmm. They got to be responsible for their decisions.
So, well, there's Bob Carmack. He's fighting for himself, and a lot of people feel like he's fighting for them too. We will see how this case plays out. Again, it's gonna be a wild ride. Bob, thanks for coming in, and best of luck in all future endeavors because you got a lot going on.
God bless America, brother.
Okay, the one and only Bob Carmack, Mayor Duggan's least favorite resident of the West Side, and we should probably tell you about a couple people who are out there trying to make your life easier. Not folk heroes, but they are people who might be worth doing some business with, and they are experts at what they do. That would be Mr. David Hall and Mr. Luke Nowacki, who Mark has some very valuable information to share regarding these gents.
Yeah, there's nobody more professional, in my opinion, when it comes to mortgages than David Hall and Hall Financial. And Hall Financial, they can do a lot for you. They can get equity out right now if you want to pay off other high-interest debts or make home updates. Or if you're thinking about buying a home and inventory is starting to go up, make sure you call Hall, get a 5-star certified pre-approval, the pre-approval that all realtors trust and buyers love. You can check them out at callhallfirst.com or go to our website, mlsolodetroit.com. There's a little picture there. You can click on Hall to get to callhallfirst.com, or you just simply call them 866-CALL-HALL. And another way to make money is with Luke Nowacki. He's the investment guy we trust, 248-663-4748. You can get a free consultation to figure out what are my financial goals? Where do I need to be? There's actually just a big story about Gen Z and how much they think they need and when they're going to retire. They think they're going to retire by age 60, and they think they only need $1.2 million to live at the same lifestyle, which most economists say you're insane. That's really hard to do unless you start saving right now at age 20. Isn't that crazy? So
As long as it's in Bitcoin, they'll be fine.
Find a financial guy that'll get you on the right track. We recommend Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748.
Because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, Gen Z sweethearts.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
It's Shawn Windsor's favorite part of the show, so we welcome Shawn in virtually in the in our Zoom portal. Shawn, did you like last week's show?
Yeah, no, it was great. I'm sorry I missed it.
What was your favorite part? Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, it was great. Sorry I missed it. You listened though, right? What was your favorite part?
I wasn't part of it.
Oh, I know, but you listened back. So what was your favorite part?
No, I looked. This is the odd thing. Last night I looked because I thought, well, if I dial in for this week, I need to be prepared a little bit. So I looked.
Well, you had
on
a
Apple.
week to check it out.
Well, I did. That's true. So I looked one of the nights last week, and only 2 episodes came up.
What?
On Apple. So is that?
Hang on.
Did you change the name? Because you type in ML Solo Detroit on the Apple Podcasts, and there were 2 episodes, and they were both fairly old.
What?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I see them all. I see them all on my sounds like operator error.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I see them all on my phone.
And I thought, well, maybe we're in some other place. Mike's always talking about different platforms and so forth. And you know me, I'm a total fool and Luddite, not by choice. And so I couldn't find them.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you here. We hope you're getting your rest and reconnecting with your family. And we have I'm
not in Scotland, by the way.
You're not. Oh, really?
No.
Okay, that's a
you
little...
look like you're someplace exotic.
Yeah, right. My house.
bunker?
I think it's I'm missing you guys though, and it's going to be a while because I won't be around for next week either. I'll dial in from Las Vegas. We can do that.
Speaking of platforms, I think a lot of the dancers wear platforms out there. So.
Well, I'm going out for the basketball. The summer league, NBA summer league.
Is that what the sports writers call round ball?
That is what they call round ball. And have you ever been out to Vegas in July?
Oh God, no! It's been a while since I've been to Vegas in general.
Yeah,
Actually, no, I take it back. I was out there in the summer for a bachelor party, and it was one of the hottest places I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it's not fun. It's weird because Vegas is Vegas, but yeah, in the middle of the summer, it is tough.
At that bachelor party, we had a buddy who served in the Iraq War, and he goes, "This is way hotter than the Iraq War." I'm like,
no,
what?
I believe it. I've been to Arizona for work in the middle of the summer, and Phoenix, which is really really hot. But I'm not sure what it is about Vegas in that particular spot. It's
a dry heat,
crazy hot.
Well, this is something I wouldn't expect. Shawn Windsor not having fun in Vegas. I was wondering if there's one guy in the country who'd be like, Vegas, man, it's not a very fun place. Who would it be? Probably Shawn.
Too much debauchery.
In fairness to me, our beat writer who covers the Pistons, Amari Sankova II, he goes out there. He goes the day of the first game. He tries to get out there as soon as possible. He can't take it. A lot of the folks don't like it.
Why? It's Vegas.
Part of it's the heat, but Vegas is the thing. It's got to be your thing. And if you don't gamble and, the food, it's not like
you don't like entertainment.
You're not getting steak. And look, I saw Wayne Newton in the 90s out there.
Me too.
So I'm good.
Loved him.
And I stayed at the Sand. So I'm good. I've got that experience.
Yeah, but there's other residencies. Isn't U2 in a residency or Katy Perry? I mean, there you go. I can see Shawn front row at Katy Perry.
Morrissey did a residency in
Adele.
Vegas.
Isn't Adele playing there right now? I mean, there's lots of things you could do, Shawn.
Just wait, Morrissey's out there? Okay, never mind.
No, he did do a residency, but he's
that
not
seems very not Morrissey.
Yeah, no, it's not Morrissey at all.
It was probably an off-strip
maybe he did it in
casino.
Broadway.
He played that, right?
I think he did it in Vegas.
Shawn, you don't gamble at all? You don't like playing cards or just sitting?
No, I've never been a card guy. I played a few slots the first time I was out there at the airport, and I was good.
Craps?
No, how about you?
Hey,
I'll play anything.
We have documentary evidence that when Shawn went to Vegas, he brought a computer with him. He brought a laptop. I mean, that's not party guy. That's not.
No, I mean, I'm one of the few beat guys or the journalists who cover this event. I don't stay on the Strip. I stay down by the airport, which is actually close to the Strip. You guys know that.
Oh,
but McCarran is you come in for a landing, you're coming in right next to the casinos. But I stay south a little bit in a little, just a low key place, and there are no slots in the lobby, and I'm good.
Just gets a little cocaine and hangs out with his wolf pack. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
All
good.
this conversation has made me want to go back to Las Vegas.
Does it? I'd rather go just I'd rather get in a rental car and go to Hoover Dam, you know?
Yeah, but hey, you see that once, you're done with it.
No, for sure. Yeah. Dismiss the giant achievements of mankind.
No, I don't dismiss it. It's has it changed since last time I've been there?
Probably not.
Maybe go check the water level of Lake Mead or anything.
Yeah, probably a little. I was up last year. I went and it was low, so I was just thinking, all the more reason people are going to come to our state.
It is the water wonderland, the land o' lakes.
So is Shawn our Geek of the Week? Is that what we're saying?
No, but this transition is like butter, baby. Land O'Lakes butter. Because our Geek of the Week is from another place that's surrounded by water. It is Australian military artifact collectors. Now, I know that seems kind of obscure, but Australia has banned the sale of Nazi artifacts, and so now there is a rush in Australia to buy as many Nazi artifacts as you can possibly buy before this ban comes into effect. Sellers say that this bill that was passed by the Australian legislature, the parliament, prompted a frenzy of buying and selling with signed pictures of Hitler, Himmler, and Rommel sold at auction on the Gold Coast at record prices. They are going nuts. Jamie Blewett, an owner of JB Military Antiques, Western Australia's largest military antique store, says, it's an avalanche. Really? I've been a full-time dealer for 14 years, and I've never seen the number of people ring, email, or buy from us. It's like the fuel station's about to run out of fuel, so they are filling up. If people are offended by it, we can just put a sticker on the swastika. People collect this stuff because they are military fans. They are history nuts. They aren't pro-neo-Nazis. And German military memorabilia is very popular. But I've never once sold anything to a neo-Nazi. I mean...
Well, I mean...
You're pro-Nazi memorabilia? Is that where we're at?
No, not at all. But he has a point. I mean, museums collect stuff. It's kind of a weird law.
He does have a point that when you ban something, you make it more desirable in the same way that when people worried, AR-15s might be banned, people are running out to buy AR-15s, and it's why Prohibition didn't work, because when you tell people they can't have something, you're going to find a way to have it, and the people who provide it may not be the finest citizens in our society. But anybody who wants to own Nazi memorabilia, whether they're buying it in a frenzy because they think it's going to be harder to get or because they're selling it to make a buck, I got to tell you something. Anybody who makes a penny off anything connected to the Nazis, you are my Geek of the Week.
Hey guys!
There's an all-night party in room 7609. Got the time.
I just want to say too, last week's Room 7609, the Glastonbury performance.
Yes.
With the Smiths cover. I watched a little more of that. And I'm not a Smiths fan, but it was really good. I don't know if you watched any more of it.
No, I need to. I think we may have had a problem with YouTube because we played the video. So if you're going to look for last week's episode on YouTube, you may want to check it out on Facebook. It should be up there somewhere. The video, that is. But the full audio is always available.
Yep.
Great performance. By the way, I had a Geek of the Week, and I wanted to get it in real quickly. Yeah, Mike. Because he's having his annual yard beer party and didn't, check with me. I'll be in Vegas when he's doing it.
Wait, you're going to Vegas?
I've made the last two. And was hoping to make it 3 in a row, but nope.
I wasn't invited either, apparently. Jeez.
Thanks to Mike just throwing it out there randomly without checking with anybody that, cares about it.
Happening.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's
there's a difference between work colleagues and friends, huh?
Yeah, it's coming up this weekend. I guess everybody's invited now. Thanks.
No, I didn't give a day or say where it was. I just, But
gonna miss you, buddy. Well, this week's Room 7609 is inspired by Shawn Windsor, even though he doesn't seem to hold me in very high regard. And it's brought to you by the Caju Cafe, the pride of the East Side, which is where you can find great beats, great eats, not great meats. I mean, the meat is great, but that's the butchery. That's a butchery tagline. So we hope that Dave Hubbard and his family are doing great out there. But Caju Cafe, great food, great music, indoors and outdoors. If you are looking for a great time on the East Side, we highly recommend that you go to the Caju Cafe. On Friday, David Winans is playing. Saturday, Barbara Payton and Chris Kurzawa's Led Zeppelin tribute. Sunday, Gary Greenfelter's big band. Monday is Blue Monday, open blues jam, and it's also Muscle Madness, all the mussels you can eat. And there's always something great going on at the Caju Cafe. The kitchen is open till midnight most nights. If you want to find out more, find out who's playing, what's coming up, go to cajucafe.com. And this is in honor of Shawn Windsor, big basketball fan, the Thompson Twins. We have one of them now here in Detroit. And this is a song that really is why we always like to have Shawn with us, because he does everything in the name of love.
Hey you, I've seen your face before. It's you in the picture which hangs on my bedroom wall. Is it true? All of those things that they say about you. Tell me, what am I supposed to do? In the name of love, yeah. In the name of love. In the name of love, yeah. In the name of love. Well, it's fine to think that I'm having the time of my life. That's true. If all that's around us is paradise, but now I want to be left here with nothing at all. Even the picture has fallen away from the bedroom wall. In the name of love, yeah. In the name of love. In the name of love, yeah. In the name of love. This time go. This is in the name of love, yeah. In the name of love. In the name of love, yeah. In the name of.
So which is your favorite Thompson twin, Shawn?
One of them.
No, the basketball players.
Oh, the basketball players. I thought we were talking about music.
Well, our Room 7609 selection was the Thompson Twins. We know that you're a basketball fanatic, and the Pistons drafted one of the Thompson Twins, so we thought that was a very brilliant tie-in. But once again,
yeah, that's a great tie-in. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
okay.
How about that?
I love the enthusiasm and the
Which
incisive
one's your
commentary.
favorite?
I can't tell them apart. I'll tell you that much. I did listen to an interview with both of them together, and they both seem like really good kids, really smart, really sharp. Not the kind of guy that I don't know who's who, but not the kind of guy who's gonna pull out a gun or a toy gun on Instagram.
No, one thing I thought was interesting about them, maybe Mike doesn't think this, but I wouldn't agree with this, but a sewer, I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Sorry. Talked about it in his news conference the other day in Detroit when he was introduced to the fan base, that when he and his brother were, I don't know, it was in the last few years, they would have a contest with each other. They would throw out an NBA team, and then that person had to list all 15 players on the roster.
Yeah.
And they knew every single player on every single team because that's how much they study and watch and are into it. I just thought, that's
great. No, it means they love
just make
the
a
sport.
little mental note of that. They're serious. It suggests that they're serious. Whether they work out or not, who knows? But that little tidbit suggests that they will put everything they have into trying to make it work.
Yeah. The only question is, can he learn how to shoot better?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
that's really the only question with him. Character seems good. Athleticism seems good. Defense seems better than average.
With the potential to be way better than average.
Yeah, it's just can he shoot? Can he learn to shoot better? That's a tough one.
I love the
Mike
person
learned to shoot.
I love the person who said, and I heard Eli say, I don't know if he was the one who coined it, but the Pistons draft a Thompson, and they don't even get the best one of the Thompsons.
That was my joke.
Was that yours?
Yeah.
I heard that on John.
They had the fifth pick in the draft, and they didn't even get the best one in the family.
Yeah, I thought that was that could be a
throwaway.
That could be a telling analysis. But my favorite Thompsons are the Thompson Twins from The Adventures of Tintin, where the band got their name. But no Tintin fans out there?
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I thought we had a big audience that really appreciated Belgian comics.
Well, no, it was more just the lame pun, but whatever.
Okay.
But I like that you associate it with the NBA Thompson Twins now.
I'm trying to build up some excitement for the Pistons, and of course, last week the Red Wings had their big draft, and going to see how that guy fits into the lineup. It's going to be very interesting to see if this is an immediate contribution or something that has to marinate a little bit in the AHL or in college.
Well, you know how hockey is. It's like baseball. These guys just take a while. It's not like football or basketball where their impact's a little more immediate.
Well, some do. I mean, there's this Connor McDavid fellow who seemed to have an immediate impact, and even Morris Sider and Lucas Raymond was better in his first year than his second year. So you never know. But you are right. Most of them, like this Dela Cruz for the Reds, who's just seems like the greatest story in all of baseball this year. He kicked around in the minors for a few years before he came up and started. I think he was in his 12th game or something like that, and he already hit for the cycle.
Yeah, that guy's been ridiculously good.
I mean, insane. He's like some 6'5" shortstop, and he weighs 8 pounds, and he hits for power. I mean, I can't wait till the Reds come to town. I think if you're a baseball fan and you have a chance to come and see Ohtani play with the Angels, or to see Dela Cruz come when the Reds come, or to see the Padres with that killer lineup, you got to go. That's worth going to see whatever we put on the field. I used to always love going to see him when they played Seattle just because of Ichiro. I've never seen a guy like that. He's out of the batter's box almost before he's hit the ball. It was just so fun to watch some of these I think the unicorn term is overused, but these really singular outstanding athletes. So hopefully the Red Wings found one. And
just remember, Sider sat for a couple of years, right? I mean, not sat, but played in.
He played in Sweden, and you're right. I think he did do a year in the AHL, or he did do some time, and he got caught up in the pandemic too. So it's kind of tough to read on.
He did, but
Raymond came right away.
McDavid is a little bit different, but even most great prospects are in hockey and baseball. You do time before you get up to the bigs.
Yeah, no, we're hoping someday to get called up to the Drew and Mike show. So this is our 4th year in the minor leagues, but
I'm probably holding it back.
We're doing the work.
ML, you nailed the nail on the head though when you're talking about all these players in baseball coming through, because Major Baseball finally got it right, where it's like, hey, maybe we should make sure all our stars visit every market in the league, and they finally have that different schedule now where they got rid of the Tigers playing the Indians 19 times in a year to where everybody will visit. So that's great.
No, and the Red Wings used to be the model for that. You saw them sell more tickets out west than any other team because everybody wanted to go see the Red Wings.
Well, I remember when they were in the Western Division too.
That
was so frustrating.
I know nobody wants to see them here at home, but maybe that's about to change.
Get some good players.
So okay, so we will have Shawn remotely for future shows. No feedback for you this week, and sadly, no donations, although that's not true either. The feedback we got is that we couldn't make donations because our Venmo link isn't working, so we will continue to work on that, and if you would like to try again, we would be very grateful. So it is the 4th of July. We hope you are listening to us when you're with friends and family, that you've got your sunscreen on, that you're not getting bitten by one of these malaria-bearing mosquitoes, but that you are by a big, beautiful body of water, and that you are having a fun, safe time, and that you're telling your friends about us, that you're sharing the show, that you're rating the show, and that you're looking forward to next week's edition, because we are going to have an amazing guest, and I'm going to tease you because I'm so excited about this. We are going to have the guitar player for Terrible Ted Nugent will be joining us. And I forgot to mention last week, I saw Ted Nugent play God Bless America on
at the Trump event.
At the Trump event on his I saw my Birdland. I was playing. I can't even do a Ted, but there's nobody like that dude.
But you're referring to Derek St. Holmes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Derek St. Holmes is going to be here with us.
That'll be great. That'll be fun.
Of Detroit. So Shawn, good to see you. Hopefully you have safe travels. Bring us back some knowledge. No syphilis.
Welcome back, Mike. It was definitely not the same without you in studio. Mark would attest to that.
Well, I've been back for a couple weeks now, but it's good to be here. The time just flew.
Yeah, no. Well, you have, but for some reason our paths haven't crossed, and we got one more week where that's going to happen. But then hopefully at some point before the summer's over, we will all three be in studio again.
Yeah, well, and of course, it would be nice if you could join us this beep address for that big party that we have every year.
But it's you didn't consult with any of your peoples, so I guess did you?
Shawn and I we're gonna have our own yard beer party.
Okay,
just you and me across the street from ML. Can we borrow your neighbor's lawn?
Actually, somebody got caught relieving themselves on my neighbor's lawn, and it caused some tension a few years ago.
Oh, so can I borrow the other neighbor's lawn?
If you kill the weeds,
fine. Shawn, just come over. We'll hang out.
Yeah, that sounds great. I look forward to the famous yard beer party, but I guess not this year.
So what? And again, that's beep at beep. So we hope to see you all there. What's Carlos going to do with you away in Vegas?
I'm not sure. He's been off himself lately, so it's worked out just fine. To be honest, if we had any greatest hits, we'd run those. But who knows what they're putting up there? I don't know. I just try to write some columns and leave the podcasting to the professionals like y'all.
Maybe Carlos and I will catch up on this when we get together on beep at beep for the big party.
Carlos is invited? Okay.
Of course. In fact, I was going to do it the weekend before, but it wasn't convenient for Carlos. So
you probably invited Drew and Brandon and Trudy and,
look at that.
Charlie.
Scotland didn't make him any nicer at all.
I told Joy, I said, make sure Mark and Shawn know when we're having the party. He said, you know what he said?
What?
That's what he said. Yeah, okay. It was pretty Joe-like.
Yeah, we know where we stand.
They call him the Sphinx.
I'm just glad that I can call you my pal. I'll take
it. Is one of the labels that have been thrust on me that I do not reject. I'm proud to bear that imprimatur.
I'm grateful. So I'll take what I can get. How about that?
It sounds very Vegas-like. Okay, Shawn. Well, if unless you find yourself in somebody's trunk, we will look forward to seeing you remotely from Vegas. And remember, when you're in Vegas, don't let anybody, blank on you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, don't let anybody take you out as a way to get to Cyrus.
Even better. See, what a professional.
Yeah, at least
Shawn said, you just do it.
Yeah, once more with feeling.
Cyrus, take us out.
No, I thought you were going to do a whole thing. when in Vegas.
What was I going to do? It's
Christ's
great to see you guys. I love this show. Life's awesome.
Sometimes
Cyrus, take us out.
And when you're in
sometimes you got to
Vegas-
get when they go and is good.
And when you're in Vegas, make sure someone doesn't take you out. Like Cyrus.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Do you trust me?
I trust you.
Open your ears.
I'm flying.
Shawn.
You never know what hand you're gonna get dealt next. You learn to take life as it comes at you. To make each
Episode.
count.
I will never let go.
Shawn.